Hello and welcome to the latest IronQuest feedback call. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sarah Bartlett. I'm a Tableau Zen Master and I'm a Tableau Ambassador, and I'm the founder of the IronQuest project. For those that haven't joined us before, welcome. Just to give you a bit of background on the IronQuest project, this project was founded in January 2019, and it's based on the format of the IronViz feeder competition. So the IronViz is a competition that's run by Tableau every year, and the format of the competition is that they will ask you to visualize a particular topic for the feeder round, and your topic must focus on three key areas. So that's design, storytelling, and analysis. IronQuest works in exactly the same way. So we pick a different topic every month, we go away and visualize it, and we try and focus in on those three key areas and excel in those. And really the aim of it is to try and improve both your data storytelling, your analysis and your design skills, but also get you prepared for IronViz if that's something you want to pursue. Now, this month we were visualizing the topic of games. So this was both visualizing data on games, maybe data on how many sales your favorite video game had, or maybe your data on board games. Also, people actually went away and built games in Tableau, which is like super exciting. So I can't wait to show you some of the entries today. Obviously, all of the entries will be covered in the blog post that will supplement this feedback call. Today, we're only going to be looking at the vizzes that were submitted specifically for feedback, so we won't cover everything. But I think in total, we had around 32 entries into this round, which is fantastic. And thank you to everybody for entering. We really appreciate it. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest. So this month, I'm really excited to be joined by my good friend, Kevin Flerlage. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Good. Now, this is your second, or no, actually, I think it's your third time co-hosting with me.
I can remember. Yeah, awesome.
We did the sea creatures.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure you jumped in and did another one like the first year.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So anyway, it's good to have you back because I didn't have you last year, I don't think. So
thanks for having me.
It's been a long time. And I mean, this month, obviously, the topic is games. And I felt like this was right up your street. I mean, when I was writing the blog post, you know, when I think about games in Tableau, I think of you. And when I was writing the blog post, I wanted to put in some examples of where people had actually built games in Tableau. And you'd actually had a viz on that subject, right? So where you'd collected everybody's kind of game vizzes and put them all together in a viz, which was fantastic.
It sounds like I need to add to that now.
You do, yeah. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So we've got about 20 vizzes to review, maybe a few less. So yeah, so let's get to it. So you should be able to see Google Sheets.
Yep, sure can.
Okay, brilliant. Let's get started. So the first viz we're looking at today is by Alex. And this viz is a game of tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to comment on, like, when reviewing a dashboard, or, you know, like, I think you judged IronViz last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so did I. And you have this criteria of like design, analysis, and storytelling. It's so different when you're looking at something like this, where half of these are literally games that you can play in Tableau. So it makes it sort of like, what's the criteria we're judging these up by? So I think this will be a little bit different than normal, because, you know, like, what's the storytelling in this viz, or what's the analysis in this viz? There really isn't. Maybe a little storytelling, but this particular one, it's more, there's really no analysis. It's just a game built in Tableau, which I love and is exciting. So it'll be a little interesting how we kind of walk through these. So.
Yeah, agreed. I think we'll be more focusing on the design, the functionality, like the UI, UX, that kind of stuff. Right. As you say, less than storytelling. But they're not all games. Like, some of these vizzes do introduce topics, like about games. So we may see some more vizzes that kind of align with like the usual criteria. But yeah, agreed. Let's judge them on, you know, how user-friendly they are, the look and feel, rather than the usual kind of storytelling analysis guidelines. Yeah, so okay. So this one is a homage to OXO. Can you beat the computer in tic-tac-toe? Have you played any of these yet?
Yeah, I did. I played with this one. And so, I mean, if you look at this, he's really talking about the first, I don't know, first, but it was a video game developed in the 50s. So we're talking, you know, on mainframe computer that in this, you know, simple tic-tac-toe, but took, you know, all this processing power. And so I think that in the design, he's trying to have that older look. So it's just black and white, and it's got this sort of, what's that font? You know, the font that's equidistant. It just looked like an older type font. And so I think that the design stays true. I did play the game, and well, let me a few other comments. He noted somewhere that this was in the description. It's only 9 rows of data. Super cool. I mean, you got 9 squares, 9 rows of data, and a lot of parameter actions. And I've built these games a bunch of times, and I understand how that works. He's not only allowing you to click. He's got a computer making moves, and then it records your stats, your wins, your losses, your ties. It even has previous players. So I assume he's maybe using something to read into a Google sheet. I'm not really sure. So really, really cool technical work. In fact, if you go to his Tableau public profile, it's the only viz on there. So guys really a technical, really did a great job technically on this. I will say I played the game earlier and I beat the computer in 3 moves, which is the least number that you could play. So I was curious about kind of the methodology behind how the game is played. Maybe it's really true to the initial game, and maybe the computer was picking spots randomly. I'm not really sure, but if I play it now,
well, I just lost while you were talking. So
you just lost.
I just lost to the computer. Yeah, so you're clearly better at tic-tac-toe than I am. But there is an option for me now to record my results. So if I click that button, not that I really want to make a record of this because it's pretty embarrassing.
See, it's interesting because like I let the computer go first. He picked the one spot. He went in the corner. I went in the middle, and he went in the opposite corner to where I was already blocking him, which makes like it's not very logical. So if I were to
so I'm doing it again. I've now got 1 loss and 0 wins. So.
Now he just beat me. I shouldn't say, because he just kind of trapped me because I see why he did that. Okay, the computer's smarter than I don't know. It's weird because the computer seems to be smart at some points and then not. So, but it really is fast.
It is.
I'm really intrigued by the computer moves, how he did it. So I thought it was really technically well done. And stayed true to the kind of the old school thing, you know, maybe there could be a little more design, you know, it's these kind of squared off buttons and stuff like that, but I don't think that was the intention. So
I mean, yeah, it's functionality wise, it works perfectly, and I think the design is intentionally simple. As you said, yeah, I like it. The only thing that I can see that might be a little confusing is we have a loading please wait kind of title underneath the controller section that I don't think changes.
Oh yeah, I see that. So, yeah, that is a little confusing.
Yeah, and you have to record your move. Sorry, you have to record your score before you can play again. So I'm now on I've got 2 losses and 0 wins.
And one other thing I would probably mention is, you know, you click where it says enter move, you have the options. It gives you these like little circles where you can click. I guess I don't understand why you can't just click on the board.
Yeah, I instinctively went to the board and realized that the circles were there.
And I feel like maybe there's potentially a reason, but I feel like you could, with parameter actions, you could certainly make that happen. And again, don't know how the back end of it's designed, but it's very cool. Very cool. I hope Alex does more because this is pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next one is by Andrew. And this one is looking at Monopoly. And this one was scarily similar to what I was planning on doing. I actually never got around to doing, but he looked at the UK version of Monopoly, something that I used to play a lot when I was younger. And I was planning on looking at how much would it cost to buy a property at the locations around the Monopoly board, because I figured that it's a lot more expensive than what we have on the board, right? Anywhere in London is expensive. And he did something strikingly similar, so I was really interested in looking at this viz. And what he did, what I was not intending to do, was to actually put a map in the middle of the board, and kind of like map out like where these locations are, which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Let's see. I haven't seen. I don't know if I've seen this yet. And if you hover, like I'm looking at Boardwalk, which I guess is Mayfair, and he does have the board price, and then he has the average price in 2020, actual average price. So the hotels and houses are representing 1 million and a 0.1. Okay, and 1/10. I was trying to make sense of, like, I'm looking at the orange, like Vine Street versus Strand, that's in red. 1.9. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, if we were to stay true to like the board game, it doesn't make sense that the Vine Street one would be more expensive than the Strand, because as you go around the board, they get more expensive. So that would be just one comment.
But then the 190, I'm just looking in the tooltip. So I think that the properties, like the houses and the hotels that we see next to them, are what it would cost now, like the average house price.
Right. I'm just looking at, like, Vine Street is 1.9 million, and then Strand right around the corner is 1.2, where the value on the board is actually more for Strand than is for Vine. That's unless he's trying to keep this somewhat geographical, which now that I look at it, he might.
But then he's got the arrows, so that the lines coming out of each location pointing to where they are in London.
And now I look at the map. Yeah, it does. Maybe that's why you've got some more expensive. He's maybe trying to stay more true to geography versus, in the board game, they get more expensive as you're going around the board, but they also have a geographical nature to them. So it looks like he tried to kind of balance the two of those. But yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I mean, in London, I think generally speaking, central London at least, it's more expensive in the west, which is where like Park Lane and Mayfair are.
What is the original and updated? Changed.
Or he reordered the board based on current value.
Yeah, kind of addressed what we just talked about. Interesting. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, I think I really like the board. I think that like these buttons here, I just see a few little design problems. Like those buttons don't look like they're centered to the text, and maybe just breaking the text into like more chunks instead of running it all the way across the screen. And maybe
very wide, isn't it? If you broke it down into maybe 2 blocks.
Yeah, some block text.
Yeah. What I would like is the ability to actually look at this without scrolling, because we missed it initially, but you've got the reference to say, okay, houses and hotels are worth this much per like icon. I'd like to see that right next to the board, so I haven't got to kind of scroll up and down to keep referencing what each one means. Yeah.
But it's really neat. I think the board game's really well done. The board part of it's really well done. You're right. I think you could probably, a lot of that stuff, top stuff, we could, you could have the main view to be the board game, and maybe some of that top information just be in like a collapsible container and with some, like click here for info or something. I think that would help the design and just aesthetically. But yeah, it's pretty darn cool. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. One other thing I would do is just the hierarchy on the title and the subtitle would just make the title a bit bigger, and the subtitle a bit smaller. So I think the Monopoly kind of title kind of gets lost there with it's being the same size as the subtitle text.
Totally agree.
Yeah. No, great job.
He stole your idea.
He did from my brain. I didn't share it with anyone. Like psychic. Okay, so the next one is by Ant. But this one, Ant actually did I think he released this around the same day that I announced this topic, and I was like, you've got to enter this for Iron Quest games because it's just on topic.
Yeah, this may be the coolest game I've seen anybody build in Tableau. I mean, I've seen one other person do a slide puzzle. I'm blanking on the name, but just the design, like this literally looks like I got a slide puzzle. This looks like something like a game you would pull up on, some game website, and it's smooth too. The animation,
the way they move is really slick. Yeah.
And it's really runs pretty fast too. If you had this in desktop, I'm sure it would be like the coolest thing ever. But it's pretty fast. But the animation he added was just brilliant, and it's really hard. I am terrible at these things, but
I used to love playing these when I was younger. You'd get them free sometimes. It was like, I don't know, Happy Meal or something like that. And you'd get so frustrated in the end, you'd like take the pieces out and put them back in.
That's what I always did.
I've got to 10 turns on this, and I've got a pop-up with,
you need help. Yes.
It says, do you need help? Autocomplete.
I didn't click it.
So I'm going to click autocomplete. Yeah, it's done.
Oh, I wonder if I get to like 20, if it'll give me more help because I accidentally passed it. I can't believe how fast this works. I expected the parameter. I assume it's just loads of parameter actions dictating where the thing goes. Obviously, there's only one spot open. It's going to know where to go. But all right, I went 20 turns. Yeah. There. I
sure? Auto-completed on mine, and now I can't restart it. So maybe a play again button would be nice.
Ah, that's great. Look at that. Ah, that's super slick. Let me refresh. I think it's one of the coolest games I've ever seen in Tableau. It's designed really well. I'm refreshing because I thought there was one thing that maybe I would change, and it's taken a little bit, is it's got, when you hover over the points and you select, it looks like it's selecting like a little rectangle or square.
On the squares, yeah.
Yeah, see the square?
Mm-hmm.
So that can be fixed, and this is, a trick that I use all the time. That can be fixed with if you use a transparent shape. So transparent shapes can't really be selected, mm-hmm. and they won't hover like that. So if there was anything I had to pick on it, it would be that. But this is super cool. And I told Ant, is that how I pronounce his name? Ant, I guess.
Yeah.
I told him that when he posted it, it's like, this is one of the coolest things I've seen in Tableau ever. So really well done.
Yeah, great job. Okay, the next one is by Jagriffy, and this is looking at Olympic medals. So this is not a game, it's looking at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, so I just met Jagriffy in person, I guess, if you could say, like over Zoom. She was competing in the
Atlanta. Okay.
Iron Viz competition. So
she was a runner-up, right? One of the finalists.
Yeah. She won. I think most engaging is what the award she won. So yeah.
Okay, well done.
So my initial view is, I mean, the Sankey chart is pretty. I guess let me digest this for a second.
It's an interesting layout. I mean, with the gold, silver, bronze, like the gold is in the middle. Whereas I think most people used to be seeing it like bronze through to gold, or the other way around.
I would expect to see gold on top, silver in the middle, and bronze on bottom. I also think there's probably an opportunity to actually color the bronze by a copper color versus that purple. I do see some problems with alignment on the left. They're not the Sankey curves are not lining to the bars, or Norway's
for the sports. Oh, on the left.
On the left and in the middle a little bit. So yeah, you can see like the United States one is off-centered to the United States block there, and then in the middle as well, the flows the flow to bronze coming in from the left is taller than the flow from the bronze going into the right. So there's, I don't know if it's a bunch of different sheets that aren't sized properly or if there's a problem in the underlying data, but I think the design of it, generally like the colors a lot. I mean, the purples, it does pop, even though it probably makes sense to make it a bronze color, just because that's kind of, you know, what we're used to seeing. Yeah. I also wonder, like on the left, we have Norway in a gray box and the United States in a gray box. And then out to the right, we have alpine skiing in a gray box to the left of it. I would probably almost just extend that and label the box inside just for the sake of consistency. You'd probably have some, well, I was going to say you probably have some room to wrap text, but that might get a little tight. But
I was going to say exactly the same thing. So make it more symmetrical to have those boxes on either side of or remove the boxes. I think boxes work well because you can see the individual categories, so I'd probably keep them. To be honest, I'd probably give this viz more space to breathe, like all the way around the edges, because we can see on the left we've got the countries going right up to the edge pretty much. So I'd probably give it a bit of a border and just bring that title down a bit. It seems like really, really close again to the top.
Just some space to breathe for sure.
And center it as well, because I don't know if it's because we haven't got the sports in those grey boxes, but it feels like everything is kind of left aligned in this thank you section, at least.
Agreed. It looks like at a glance, at the top, 1924 is centered. So, I mean, if I were designing this, I would probably take a text box, or it depends on your design outside of Tableau or what. I would probably take a text box and align a center right down along that 1924, and my bronze and my gold and my silver would all hit that center point. That my Olympic medals title would be centered there. Everything would be centered at that point, because you're right. It looks like the Olympic medals is off center to the left. And same with the Sankey charts, kind of off to the left, where some of the text and stuff is actually centered. So yeah, I'd probably just try and clean that up a little bit. Even the timeline, like if you look at the arrows, the left arrow is closer to that left margin than the right arrow is. Yeah,
I think I've just clicked the summer like radio button, so I just want to see what that does.
You and I are on the same page. I did the exact same thing.
So it's updated the view. So I've got a ton more countries, obviously more sports in the Summer Olympics. To be honest, I think what I might do is maybe have two views like stacked on top of each other, do show hide buttons or something, because the issue we have now is I feel like the Summer Olympics are condensed down into the same space the Winter Olympics were taken up. So either I would consider making the viz a bit bigger, or having the ability to kind of design the two separately. Maybe stack them on top of each other.
Agreed. What did they? Oh, that's just images. I was just wondering what the medals were. They just look like.
I think they were just images of what the medal looked like that year, I think.
Yeah, and I think that it would be the same thing if you've got 3 medal types and we're only showing 2 in the image. So it just unless it does, if that shows interactively or something, but I don't think that it does.
This would be a really great viz for that. I think it's a Ken blog post. I don't think it's yours. For the timeline where you can zoom in. I think Michelle Freeman did a viz recently, I believe, where she used that technique where you have the wider timeline, but you can zoom into a certain section. This viz will be quite. Is that Ken's blog post where he describes that technique?
Are you talking about the timeline at the top?
Yeah, the timeline at the top. So we can scroll from left to right.
Yeah.
I think he's written a blog where you can actually zoom in on a particular section of the timeline. This viz might be a good candidate for something like that, where you could perhaps zoom in and actually see the individual countries that are hosted for each of the years.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But yeah, neat techniques. I'd probably just clean up some of the alignment. And the alignment's probably the biggest problem. Clean up the alignment, and I think we have pretty cool looking. Pretty cool looking dashboard here.
Yeah, it's nice. Well done. All right. So the next one is by Lila or Lila. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. And this one is looking at Among Us. So my daughter loves Among Us. She, she
Mine
plays it.
too.
She plays it all the time. She's so obsessed. She actually draws the characters on my iPad as well.
Wow.
Um,
I know very little about it, so this may be a little tough one to.
yes,
So the game, you're like one of them's an imposter and it's like killing people or something.
you have to guess. Yeah, so when you go and you start a game, I think you either start with a computer or like random people. You have to. Somebody is assigned the imposter role, and your job is to work out who the imposter is.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how. That's just kind of as much as I know. I know my friend, so my daughter plays it with her friend, and they'll go in the same room, and then if one of them gets imposter, they'll like tell the other person, which is kind of cheating.
Cheating, yeah.
Yeah.
And is Disguised Toast a? Oh, okay. It's a YouTuber.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
I'm
I don't know
looking it
what
up right now.
Disguised
It's a
Toast
Canadian
is.
YouTuber. Okay. All right. So this is
So
some
his
Canadian.
track record as
Got it.
as an imposter, I guess.
Yeah. I have no idea if that's good or not. Is this the rooms in the?
I don't know.
All right, so I guess that would be my first thing to mention is just, maybe a how-to, like, I think most people understand tic-tac-toe, but Among Us might be a little bit of a different story. So maybe some sort of collapsible container info button, something that says what the game's about and what the viz is actually showing us. So I can hover over these and see location cafeteria, kills at coordinate 2, all kills in cafeteria. So you can kind of see these spots, I guess, where kills occurred. So these must be the different rooms. So that's pretty neat. But
I mean, but does that mean that if I don't know, are the games confined to a particular room? Because if they are, maybe he just had more games in those locations. I don't know.
have no idea. I think they move. I think you move from room to room. So I'm guessing that this is sort of the map of that. I wonder if she drew that or if she found it. I don't know. It's very interesting looking, and I will say I think the design's great. I love the maybe if we centered up the text or something's bugging me about
bands.
the title.
Yeah, everything's kind of left aligned, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the bands I've definitely center up. And I think I probably center up the title as well, but I think the design's cool. I love the color.
The colors
she
nice.
used. I really want to just go steal that color palette because I think it's really, really pretty color palette.
Has she got like a gradient on there on the background image? It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I wonder if she did that. Now I want to download it. I wonder. Oh, it's not downloadable. I wonder if it does look like she has a gradient, and I'm guessing that it's a background image and not
drawn in Tableau. I highly doubt that it's drawn in Tableau. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you could, you'd have like a bunch of different lines and gradient. That would be a real nightmare. But it's pretty. It's cool. It's well designed. I think maybe some how to read this would be really helpful.
Yeah, and maybe just an info button about Among Us, like the aim of the game, that kind of thing. Exactly. Just one minor thing, there's a typo in playing in the title as well.
Oh, you're right. Pallying, yeah.
Yeah. But no, great job. It's super fun. I was excited when I saw that one. Okay, so the next one is by Lisa. And this is the looking at the game of the year, which is an award that's given out in Germany for the board game of the year, if you like. So she's used the a Georgia loopy technique.
Yeah, totally.
Which I love. I love all this kind of this design. It's very like Neil Richards as well. I think he's adopted it for a couple of times, but so you can see visually like the attributes of each game that's won. The one thing I would say is the key is a little bit blurred and small.
It's small. Yeah.
I can barely read it.
I found myself zooming into. Let's see. I'm at 200% trying to read the key, and I think it's fine if she wanted to have it small up there, but maybe just have like an expand button in collapsible container or something where you can see that larger, or just make it larger, I guess, in general. I also prefer the font she used in the well, it's hard to tell what it is. I prefer the font and the key than I do the font in the actual text, which I understand.
Yeah,
There's issues with
I think this
text.
is just a Tableau,
Yeah, it looks
like
like
one
it.
of the
Yeah,
standard Tableau fonts, isn't it?
yeah,
It's what I thought about this when I first saw it was really interesting layout with like the kind of the up and down, kind of a little bit random. I wonder how she came up with that idea.
yeah. I don't know.
Cool.
It, yeah. So I guess we could talk. From data viz perspective, there's no quick insights. This takes time to dig in, but I think that's the point. You talk about Neil and I think of like George Loopy or Nadia Bremer, where I think as Nadia has kind of talked before about that's not the intention of what I do. My intention is for you to dig in and to learn and understand and get to the individual details. So that's obviously what she's doing here. I think the design is super striking. I love the different one little circle with all the little stuff surrounding it. Gives you all kinds of information about this one particular game. But I have to almost like hover over each one of them and really spend time on each one to get any sort of information.
Yeah,
Perfectly fine.
As you say, I think that's the intention.
Exactly.
I mean, at a glance, I can see that the majority of games that have won this award are board games, right? Because that's the dark blue, so I can get that.
Right.
So I mean, there is some stuff you can get quickly, but no, I get your point, and I'm sure that wasn't the intention. What I do love is that she's brought a personal touch to it so the hearts are games that she's actually played before, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. And you mentioned the blue. You can see that trend. I would make if I were her, I would probably just have a tiny bar chart. I mean, it would be tiny in the corner. Who does that really well is Johnny Walker, where he has this beautiful map and then he puts this little itty bitty bar chart. And you wouldn't need a big one. You got the color codes up at the top, and you just have this little simple bar chart. Maybe label the end of the bar, and you got this quick insight of in the past X number of years how many games were actually board games, how many were card games, etc. But I think it's gorgeous. I think it's a ton of fun. I love all the different elements. I wonder how much is done in Tableau versus brought in as an image.
To be honest, I think just by when I hover over, it looks like each one is like its own image, but could be wrong.
That's what it looks like to me too. So I don't know if she built and I should say that's fine too. A lot of the data viz designers build their stuff in a tool and then export it to Illustrator. So I was just curious because technically, if she built this in Tableau, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But it does look
but saying that though,
she's using a bunch of layers.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you hover in the right place, you can actually kind of select the individual, what do you call it? The encoding, like the game lengths and things. She's actually got.
Yeah, it's all done in Tableau. She's
got a tooltip on some of those things, and Lisa's from Germany, and she's got a tooltip in German on some of the items.
Oh, does she? Yeah, I see that. I downloaded it, and she's using the new map layers.
Oh, okay, awesome.
All these pieces, all these elements are all done. I mean, I'm sure there's a shape. She brought in a shape for that gradient circle, I'm assuming, but they're all done on their own different layers.
Well, it's even more impressive then. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's got. Interesting. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, all right, now I'm more impressed. Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
I thought I favored this, but I didn't, so I'm going to do it now.
You need to do that. Yeah. I tend to go back in and do that after these calls because I'm like, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
Okay, next one is also by another Lisa Trescott. And this one is looking at the Wheel of Fortune. When I think of the Wheel of Fortune, Kevin, I think of you. Like, it's the kind of thing that you would love.
I'm terrible at it. My wife's really good at it. She used to record it.
we used to have it here on the TV. It's like not been on for like a long time.
Oh gosh. So let's see. what is this? Okay, the most, what, what is this telling me? I'm looking at, I've got stuck at the bottom. This is
So the
telling
game is
me,
split into different rounds.
oh, how many times it's appeared.
By season. So T, if I click on the bar chart.
There's no, okay, so what about vowels? Okay, so she's got vowels, and if you click on the vowel, it changes the bar chart down there at the bottom to only compare it against vowels. I'd kind of be interested.
How did you get to the vowels?
If you click a vowel at the
A, E,
top,
I, O. Okay, right, got you.
yeah, then it breaks it down by vowel, which is I kind of like the ability to see them together because my weird brain is saying how does vowels compared to
Yeah.
I pick, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm flipping back and forth going, is a U more common than a T? And maybe that's just me being weird.
Maybe it'd be nice to see them all together, but maybe she could differentiate between the vowels.
Yeah, she could have it this,
maybe
she
like
has
a
this
little border or a different color or something.
totally, yeah, or even a drop down to say vowels only, or something like that.
Yeah, because I think because she's broken out the vowels onto a different row, it kind of throws the alphabet off a little bit at the top, at the placement, right?
It did what? I'm sorry.
So in that grid at the top with the letters, I'd expect it to go from like A to Z, but because A and the other vowels have been brought down, it kind of throws that kind of order off a little bit as well.
I love the bands. It's a really creative way to do the bands.
Yeah.
Most common category phrase. Yeah, it's just neat data. I like the design too. I almost would have liked if the top left looked more like the Wheel of Fortune. I get it was more of a design choice, but if it looked more like Wheel of Fortune, and maybe that would be like, okay, maybe you're using a copyrighted image, so I get why she might not do that. But
I mean, this would be a ideal chance to use like a radial bar chart. I know it's not best practice, but like that bar chart at the bottom could easily be like a radial.
Yeah, and maybe size, so you get that sort of triangle slice look. Yeah, you could size them based on, a radial bar chart with the endpoints kind of sized or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah,
and
cool.
and it's if you watch the show, they at the final round they give them 5 letters. And they always give them RSTLNE, RSTLNE. And it's holding true that those are the 5 most popular consonants and the most popular vowel in at least on Wheel of Fortune, which I would think would generally reflect, the English language in general, since they've been around for so many years. But that was the one thing, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, okay, are in fact RSTLNE the 5 most common and single most common vowels, and sure enough they are. So
yeah, she's got the the animation switched on as well. So when you switch between the different categories, it changes. But no, you're right. That's if you can overlay it with that kind of like knowledge of the game, then that's awesome.
Yeah, and I would and just as a side note, how awesome this animation. They've made the interactivity just so smooth in Tableau, and it's not even we don't need the animation for looking at the change in world populations and all that, but I use it more just for these sort of beautiful transitions between me picking an L to me picking an H, and it just has this really seamless, instead of that sort of instantaneous change like it was before. It's just really, really smooth and just makes things so much nice. I would recommend, and this is something that I learned from Jeff Schaefer a long time ago, is put like an axis on that bar chart at the bottom, just to give it a little base to sit on, instead of it being empty. But other than that, fun.
Something I learned from you as well. You passed that on to me about, I think probably last time we did this around like not having like bars that just kind of float in midair.
I'll say it every single time.
Yeah.
Hans Rosling. I know
Hans
who it is,
Rosling.
guys.
Yes. I'd be upset if you didn't. Okay, so the next one is by Mark Corbridge. This actually got Visitor Day. So,
yeah, he did something super crazy before that too. He got a Visitor Day on that one as well.
He's on a roll. Like every single INQuest entry he does is like better than the last. It's insane.
Yeah.
He did a RuPaul one
Yep.
recently. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, which is
it's
awesome.
pretty good. Yeah, so I mean, this is, I kind of compare this in a weird way to what Lindsay did in Iron Viz, I guess 2 years ago, where she built this super useful tool that I could see companies and people using as a sort of app. That's what this is to me, because I've got this ability to, I played with this a ton when it first came out. I got this ability to, find a game I like, and then it gives me suggestions on other games, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was like, oh, this is so slick. So I immediately went in there and found like the pandemic games and some of the Ticket to Ride and started listing out games that I need to buy, because we like to play games here at the house. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, on top of a really strong design. And I love the really tons of white space, makes it really simple and easy to read. I had no negative feedback about this at all. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like how he's presented it as a bot. So it's like, I am the bot and I will help you kind of find a board game. I thought it's presented in a really nice way. And yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's actually useful, which if anyone could get value from this, right?
Yeah, it's just even the cool little elements of, click anywhere, and that little edge around the circle, that little portion of the circle, it sort of highlights where you're at, and that's just a little simple touch that is really, really nicely done.
Yeah,
I love it. And there's certain people, when they post something, they make me really jealous. This is one that made me jealous. That's a great idea.
No, he's definitely on a roll.
Yeah.
All right, great job, Mark. Next one is by Martin, I think. And this is looking at 2020 in video games. So we've got how many games are released, highest rating, highest selling, genre, basically everything about video games last year.
Second bit, there it goes. Little gradient background.
Really nice, like, design.
Yeah, I was going to say this looks like we used a bunch of Tone Hong or Tuan Hong's. Yep, there it is. Inspiration tutorials.
Yeah.
The dendrogram and the sort of tilted waffle chart.
Yeah. On the dendrogram, one thing I would change is just align those labels, so they're all
totally
like left aligned, let's say, because at the moment they're kind of, I think they're centered aligned, so it makes it quite difficult to read them.
Yep, I was doing some research on that the other day, and yeah, it's a significant difference in being able to read center aligned text versus left aligned text. And this is Steve, I think it's pretty well known. Steve Wexler has talked about that a bunch of times.
I was going to say Steve Wexler's, I think he's the person I think of when I go on like Instagram, and it defaults to center alignment.
Yeah, exactly. That center alignment is really difficult to read. I love his white spacing, purple spacing, whatever you want to call it. The dendrogram is kind of unnecessary. It's a bar
chart,
is,
right? Yeah, I think it's
fun.
For the fun element, right?
Agreed.
On the heat map, I would, when doing heat maps, I always try and keep the boxes, if I can, to square shapes rather than rectangles.
You beat me to it.
And also,
it
just makes it, so it just makes it far easier to read, especially if you're looking for trends. I'd also add a white border around each of the elements in there. especially because we're using dark colors in this version.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have that, the bar chart thing we talked about with the axis, and this is in my simple steps for better design blog posts. And yeah, you're right. You make these things square, it's way easier to read. Agreed. A white border would be nice. I also like to use the background, so I would maybe use like that light purple as the border color. But he has so much white space in here. I think what people tend to do is want to fill the space, and it's probably why they make them wider.
Yeah.
They want to fill the space, but this one has so much white space, and the white space works really well. Yeah, I would just squish that thing down. Yeah. It's got the nice left aligned labels, which, a lot of times Tableau defaults to align them on the right hand side, especially for a bar chart. So I think that looks nice.
I would say that we don't know if the dark color or the light color is high or low. So we have the key. True. But we don't have any kind of values on that key, and that's probably been taken away because of design. But at the same time, interestingly, the light color is high, right? So
you're right.
PC action games.
That would have been completely opposite of what I would have expected the dark to be more games and the light be less games. But yeah, so key you're totally right.
But the problem we have with this is that Xbox Series S/X, all the values are pretty low. They're like 1 to 10, I think. So that ends and PlayStation 5, so they end up all being in the same color.
And that's probably, if I don't know that much about video games, but I believe the PlayStation 5 just came out. I'm assuming it's the same way with that SX.
They both had, both PlayStation and Xbox had like new consoles last year, I think, or even early this year.
Almost makes sense in a way to perhaps, like, for example, if I look at Nintendo, I don't consider Nintendo a platform. I consider Nintendo the maker of a platform, right? They have the Switch, they have, they still have the Wii game, I assume they still maybe they don't make
I don't
Wii
think you
games,
have Wii. I don't think you can get Wii games anymore.
I guess you're probably right. But I guess I would look at perhaps grouping PlayStations together and Xboxes together. So you have sort of the make, and not necessarily the model, if that makes sense. Because it didn't really make sense to compare PlayStation 5 games to PlayStation 4 games if PlayStation 5 was only around for a month.
Exactly. Maybe even put PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S/X in like a separate section to the right. And then so like new consoles that came out in 2020 versus pre-existing ones.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could certainly normalize it as well. If they were only around for a month, then that might be too small of a sample size or something. But I think we're in agreement there. There's probably things you could do.
Yeah. But the unit charts are cool. I probably wouldn't keep
really
that
beautiful about them.
Yeah, then I think it's the sizing. They're almost like plum puddings.
I like the fact that the highlighted ones are larger. That would work really well in a normal waffle chart too. I don't think I've seen many people do. Maybe that it's a Tableau magic technique to size them differently, but it really stands out and it's really pretty. Yeah,
the one thing I'd change is just the bands on those. I don't think we need that level of precision. So like just 83%, for instance, for PCs would be fine.
Totally agree. And you see here, we have platforms and we have PlayStation and Xbox sort of rolled up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting and this is exactly kind of what we were talking about is that it logically makes more sense for me to roll those up. Really pretty. But I don't think you need 79.85%. Probably could just round to the
exactly
the integer. Well, I guess it's percentage, not really the integer, but something's weird with this design at the bottom. It's almost faded out. I don't know if that was intentional. The little icon right
the icon. I think it's intentional. I don't know.
I think the design's really nice. I like it.
It is, yeah. It's very like website.
I will say one thing, and I've seen this proven. I don't typically use these gradient backgrounds. I know people. It's kind of this trend. But you can find some really good examples. this is probably not the perfect example, but you've seen the Rubik's Cube thing where where there's shadow on one side and there's none on the other, and in the same color block looks orange in one and looks brown in the other, and it's because of the shadowing and all that. That same concept applies to data visualization, and when you use a gradient background, you can cause those same sort of misinterpretations. I don't think it's causing any of that here, because I think it's so gradual, and each section kind of is, each chart's kind of in this section where the color doesn't change much. I guess I was just kind of forewarning, is it can certainly cause problems.
Yeah, it's almost like that example that you see sometimes where you have like a gray square on a white background, and then another square on the other side on a different color background. They're actually the same color, those squares, but it's the background, the color, that's kind of making it appear different.
And when you look at it, you go, there's no way that those are the same colors. There's no way. There's no way. And that's the Rubik's Cube one is the exact same example, just done a little bit.
Yeah. And so it's interestingly, I think, that icon you called out just now, the one that's at the bottom, if you could scroll to the top, you see the same icon underneath the title. And it looks like it's the PlayStation buttons, right? So the top button and the one on the left are like a different color to the other two. So I don't know if that's why when we scroll down to the bottom, like one of them kind of is blending into the background, right? Yeah. Anyway,
we talked a lot about it, but it's a really pretty viz, very striking.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the next one is by Nicole.
Nicole was also in the Atlanta Iron Viz competition.
And Nicole's been really active recently. Yeah. This one's looking at the history of board games.
It'll take me a second to digest this. Info button here. Oh, that's kind of cool.
The images, the way that the images wrap around like that kind of snake-like pattern is really cool.
And they're the ranking of games all time. So, Gloomhaven, I've heard about this game.
You've got tooltips on each of them, which is...
Yeah, so like
really
Pandemic, that's to be expected, is number 2. That's kind of a neat way to actually not only show the games, but also show to help somebody sort of with the flow through the dashboard, right?
Yeah. I remember when I saw you in Cincinnati. That was in January 2020, and obviously the pandemic was kind of kicking off a little bit in the news, but nothing. It was like nothing significant at that point, at least not in the US or the UK. And you told me that you'd done a viz on Pandemic the game. You felt like you shouldn't release it yet because
I don't think we didn't release it till...
You didn't release it till like way later.
A year later, right? I think we released it January or February of this year. I mean, we waited a year because gosh, it was such a sensitive topic.
The timing was
terrible. We created a thing and we worked on it at the end of January, I believe, or mid-January, had it done by February, and there's no way we were going to release that thing.
Do you know what? I've never played it.
It's fun. It's one of the games that takes some thinking, though. Takes some dedication to learning the game, and takes some thinking. Our kids hate it; they don't like it. But me and my wife like to play it. We played it with some other couples, and it's been fun. So,
my daughter, she hasn't got patience. I don't think for that kind of thing. She's not old enough.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like the games. I like that sort of snake. It just feels blocky to me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I almost would have liked for it to be smoother, and I don't know how you do that. Maybe you crop those. Maybe you crop the games to be rounded and sort of have this dotted line around here.
Yeah. Is it more because they are squared?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what's bugging me a little bit. I don't know. But I do like that concept. Is you got this. I think they Chart Chat talked about a chart that was similar to that with the elections, that they kind of had this snake. So it's a really kind of a neat concept, and almost wish you had color instead of the black and white. It would have been kind of neat
I
to
don't
see
know
some of the color popping.
if that would have been too colorful though. That's the
Maybe.
issue. Yeah,
maybe.
I've tried to do that with like football logos, and you end up with like this rainbow of colors. It doesn't look great.
Yeah. So the first chart, the global market, we have dollars and billions. So a couple things we'll just talk about this chart. On the axis, I don't see, you don't need that precision because we're not ever going past, a full billion. So you don't need the 0.0 because everything's 0.0. So that is not needed. If you're going to label the charts, then we don't need that axis at all, right?
Yeah.
I would prefer not to label that chart in every point, or
yeah.
I don't know, what is it, every other point or every point? Yeah, every point.
It's every year that you can see on the axis, so every other year. Right.
Yeah, so probably not needed there.
Personally, what I would do is I would take the axes away, like you've described, and probably just label the start and the end.
Exactly what I was going to say. Again, in that same blog post that we mentioned earlier, where I would pick 2 points and you can use the tooltip to get there. But yeah, that left axis isn't probably needed. The dollars and billions, I do everything I can to avoid vertical text. So I probably would have just put that in the header somewhere in that text to say that this represents dollars and billions. Well, you don't even need that. Well, I mean, you got dollars and billions in the label itself.
You have.
Really. So you're right. You don't even need that at all. I don't think you need to say that it's the year either. At the bottom, you don't need that label of the year because I think we all know that 2018, 2019, that's representing year.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the same thing, just label the start and the end, or
yeah,
even just 2 bars, maybe one for the 2018, which is and then one for the 2026, and showing the difference.
You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. I think the same general things kind of apply to it's a little different on the right hand chart. I'm not sure you need that gradient or that color palette. Probably could just get away with one color because the length of the bar. Those small bars are really hard to see, and it's not aided by the fact that they're really light color. So if they were all, say, blue, it'd probably be easier to read. And it's not giving you any additional information.
I'd probably do that as a line chart, to be honest. When it comes to time.
Totally agree.
I try and stick to line charts if possible. She may not have done that in this case because it sometimes doesn't always look like so impactful when you've only got a single line. That the data ink ratio would be a lot lower.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I tend to lean towards area charts just because I don't know. I think they look nicer. So a line chart or an area chart, I agree that work better. Yeah,
I mean, if we stick with the area chart that's on the left, then another area chart I think would be nice.
Would be perfect, exactly. Yeah, use the same
colors. You'd have that balance.
Yeah.
So type of board games. Okay.
I'd like a little space between the text and that snake thing as well.
Maybe just put some padding around each section.
Oh, I like to show the labels, hide labels, a little collapsible container.
That's
I'm
cool.
assuming. Yeah, that's nice. Well, no, really. I guess I need to read what this is representing.
So each spoke is a type of board game. Each dot represents the percentage of games published in that decade that use that mechanic.
Type of board game. So campaign legacy. Okay, got it. So the inner ring is the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s as you go out.
Yeah.
So more games are dice rolling mechanic games than simulation.
And then you've got hand management that's got more popular.
I turn on that show labels. I guess that would make it a little bit
show
easier
labels
to understand.
Yeah, totally.
Which we turned on and then yeah.
I like the concept of this. The only issue is there's, aside from those kind of like 3 categories that seem to stand out, everything else kind of looks a similar size. So it's quite hard to see where we have got categories that are increasing or decreasing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like trying things new. I think and I would probably do something like this in my Tableau public work. For a work dashboard, I think a highlight table would be probably the best for this. You could see the trend over time and you could see the different categories. I think that would work really well. I mean, yeah, well, you could certainly, I don't know how many categories. Line chart might get messy, but might be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to
I
try
don't know.
it.
Probably be too messy, I think.
I think so too. I think highlight table would be pretty easy to understand. But yeah, I mean, I like to try a different approach for sure. Well, the next one's very interesting.
Choose your next board game.
So, okay. So Seven Wonders is a game, I guess, in that list. So yeah, if you click, get a different game. I did click on one where the information was like, it was running off the page. It was really hard to understand.
Okay.
But other than that,
I clicked on I'm clicking on a game in that click to search for games. Selecting one, and then I can't see it once I hide that box. Try another one.
try that.
All right, it's working now. I've got it.
Okay, so I search for pandemic. Oh, okay, so then I actually have to click it to, okay.
And I've got the text is cutting off on the right hand side.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well with a couple of them. Yeah, so there's a lot of board games in there. That's interesting.
There's a ton, yeah.
And she does give a lot of, I was going to say, she's got a lot of ways to search for it too. So that makes, we've got all these, is it a campaign game? Is it a cooperative game, children's game? How long does it take? This is actually a really good tool. I may come in and use this because, we like our games short, and maybe I'm going to try it.
Yeah, similar concept to Mark's, I guess. Maybe they even use the same data set, just
I was thinking, exactly.
Approach slightly differently. I mean, this gives you more control.
Let's see. I'm going to say minimum of 2 players. Sorry, now I want to go find a game my wife and I might like. Oh, there's a lot of those. Definitely not children's game. I'm past that. Still, I'm surprised how many games are the result. I almost wish that was a filter, though, because
it's a shame that box hides the underlying view.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it'd be nice if I could see that as I'm clicking and highlighting. And the problem I had is I set about 5 of these, and then in my brain I clicked, instead of clicking the hide button, I clicked the chart, and it lost all my highlighting.
Yeah, and I had a similar problem. I just made some selections, clicked on the game to have a look at it to get the information on the right, and then I lost all the other highlighting as well.
Yeah, so there should be, maybe just a little bit of the user interface there could be simplified, the user experience. So okay.
Yeah. And then we have
conventions,
which is cool. Oh.
This will be my, the Americas, especially where we get Hawaii, that makes your map, and does the same thing with Alaska, that makes your map
tiny.
Tiny, right? Or where truth is, we could scroll into this thing and be able to really see what's happening in the U.S. if we were to just get Hawaii out of there. So you can use a shapefile or something like that, or multiple sheets to show Hawaii separately.
Yeah, the map's not fixed either, so I'm on the international one, and I can kind of scroll across to the United States, but there's no games on that one because obviously they're on the other one. Sorry, no conventions.
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense. Just, well, if we zoom into Europe, yeah, it probably makes sense to put this on one map.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
She probably, yeah, I agree. She probably didn't because of the number in North America.
Yeah.
But or maybe because of the level of detail. I think this is, I don't know. No, it's not. I was going to say it's state level, but it's not. It's by city.
Yeah, it does look like it. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, I'd probably be fine with it. I just almost would want to fix the map so you can't scroll. I don't know how I'd best work that. Interesting.
Maybe give the user the ability to select a region and then
that might
kind of zoom into that region.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on that one.
There's a lot here.
There. But yeah, she's really doing good work, and I think she's going to be somebody who's around for a while doing some really cool stuff. So
yeah, I like how creative this is. Like she's tried a ton of different approaches.
I'm gonna click favorite on that one too, just because it's just a useful tool. You know, just kind of like Mark's was.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got 5 more.
We spend too much time on this stuff.
I know. I thought we'd rush through this. Too much fun. Next one is by Robert Clark. This is looking at 7 Wonders. Have you played 7 Wonders?
No.
No, me neither. So this is almost like a quantified self viz, I think. So it's looking at his family, friends, and their track record in playing it.
That's interesting. His name's Robert. So how's he doing? Top average score is Rob. I don't know the game very well, so it's a little bit tough. So a couple of things I notice. Leaderboard up at the top is cut off the text.
Yeah.
We have some weird things with the titles, like top average scores. We have lowercase on the scores, but top and average have, capitalized letter, and then you have most wins. It's all lowercase. So I think there maybe it's just some it's issues with consistency. And in that table, the borders are different thickness.
There's something weird going on there.
Yeah, I don't even know. They look misaligned. I'm not really sure how that's happening. So, yeah. And what's the slider up at the top? Use the slider below to change the numbers up here.
That number up here. Okay, so we can show more people on the leaderboard.
I'm not really sure that's necessary.
Yeah, I guess I would personally just keep it to like the top 3 or I don't know.
Yeah, but it's pretty limited. I mean, you could just show everyone. Yeah.
So there's not that many.
And I don't know the game, so win percentages, I guess. Oh, so you win 50%. Yeah, without knowing the game, that's a little bit tricky. This is another one that would be helpful to have you're right about a topic that people don't know, then you probably need to help them out and give them a little bit of information about how this game works. Because I look at the percentages and I go, how are these not adding up to 100?
Yeah, agreed.
And
I feel sorry for Sarah. She's not won any games.
Let me see what this percentage adds up to. 181%. It doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe they didn't all play at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well no, they didn't. So if we look at the game scorecard, right? So I was trying to figure this out. We've got a bar in the middle where Mikkel won, but only 2 people played that time. So Matt and Mikkel.
You're totally right. Okay, that seems logical. So Jeff wins 50% of the time he plays. So let's see. Let's look at Jeff on the left. I'm going to click to highlight him. He looks like he's played 6 games and he's won 3 of them. Oh, that's kind of cool. I do notice when I click the highlighter that chart to the right, lose, win, all max, they all disappear. So
they'll go like yellow and then blend in.
Just got to fix that in those actions there. And I guess I don't understand that chart that we just talked about either. I don't know what these symbols are.
It's an interesting kind of approach. The bars, they're almost like Gantt bars, right?
I mean,
I don't know what the length. I don't know what determines the start of the bar, right? I think the length is the winning score, but I don't know how we're determining that the start point.
I'm guessing it's just connecting, just showing. It's like a barbell chart showing the difference between the players. You know what I mean? So,
right, okay.
Like the top one, it's got Mom at 43 and Jeff at 74, and that length of that bar is just.
But then that
connecting.
doesn't hold true for the game in the middle, which was won
Oh, you're
by
right.
Raquel.
You're right. Yeah, I have to guess that that's just a mistake because all the other ones.
All the other ones, you're right. You've got the lowest.
And the color, I guess, is the winner. Is the color
the color is the winner? Yeah.
It'd be nice if I clicked on, say, Jeff, it would highlight the whole bar. When I click on Jeff, it just, like Sarah, Sarah never won, but if you click on somebody that did win, Dad or Jeff or somebody, it'd be nice to highlight that bar as well. Just highlights the player, but I want to know, like, from a glance, who won.
Yeah.
The table to the right, I don't
understand that. I mean, I'm sure that makes sense if you know the game.
And I think that's one of the keys is, we're reviewing these things where we don't understand the games. Well, there's plenty of times you're going to create a visualization, even at work, a dashboard where people don't quite understand the subject. And that's why you got to give them that information. I use collapsible containers and info icons and stuff all over my dashboards at work and in personal work, just to kind of explain what it is that we're talking about. What's this game? How's this game played? Here's a link to a website. And here's, this chart that we don't really get. Here's how to read this chart. So I think that's really
I mean, at the same time, I guess it goes back to knowing your audience as well. So if this game is intended for the people named on it and they all get it and they've seen it before, they may not, need
you are 100% correct. Maybe he built this for his family. Can you get the player drop down to work?
No, I was just trying that. It doesn't seem to work.
Okay. Must have like fluttered in the back.
But no, you're right. I mean, at work you don't have that luxury a lot of the time.
Right.
Or with Tableau Public, right? You don't. Anyone can click on your viz. You don't.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Great job. Next one is by Roy. And this is looking at South American flags. How well do you know your South American flags?
Let's give it a try. I would say the very first thing I see the map options came up as I hovered over. We should just turn those off. Oh, I have literally no clue.
So I've clicked on Brazil. I'm pretty sure that's Brazil. Yeah.
Let me guess. I'm not looking at yours. Oh, I have no. Oh yeah, it's green and yellow, right? But which one? I have.
Oh, come on! You must know the Brazilian flag.
I have no idea. I got it right. Whew.
Right. I got Argentina. I think that's me down. I probably don't know the other ones.
I do sort of wish it would give me the
country.
Name of the country. Yeah.
Like I know some of these countries, but I couldn't tell you what their flag was.
So if I get it wrong, it doesn't.
You still can't see the names of the country. That's the only, I guess, the only downside, right?
You can when you show the answers, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you show your answers? Or are you going to go through the?
Yeah.
It is cool when you hit the show the answers because
cool.
It highlights it based on whether you got it right or you got it wrong. So you've got Brazil and Argentina you were correct with, so you got that green color, and then incorrect. Now we got total score. You've got 15.38000. Yeah, we should probably just hit that at
15% is
15% would be fine. Yeah.
I like the map design. That's cool.
Yeah. I kind of wish that the map did look like that. The first map looked the same, except without the
it's strikingly different.
Yeah. I would keep the consistency between the two if I could, and just they almost. I think even the header's a little bit larger, or something changes. Something's just maybe it's not the header, but it's just they're not.
It's the background. It's just the background kind of pops out, doesn't it?
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then the alignment of the text and stuff's a little bit different, but it's a fun idea that I'm really terrible at South American flags apparently. But yeah, it works well.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. All right. Next one is by Tim, and this is Hangman.
I've never seen this.
You play Hangman all the time. It's one of those games you can play it anywhere, right? You need just a piece of paper and a pen.
True. Oh, this looks cool. I don't think I've seen this. Select
so I challenge
category.
you to play this in Cockney.
That's a neat little.
I love that.
Right, I'm gonna hit Cockney. I'm gonna just.
You know any Cockney rhyming slang?
No.
If I said to you like apples and pears, would you know what I'm on about?
Apples and pears. No, I have no idea what that means.
So
is that?
It's Cockney rhyming slang, so it's actually stairs. So like dog and bones, phone.
Nope.
No. Ruby Murray is curry.
Yeah, these are all things I've never heard of in my life. I'm trying it. I'm going to see if I can do it. I have no idea what this word is. It's all one big word, and it's like 10 letters. And
we got the same word. Okay.
We might. Oh, they're here. Relate. Rev. Let's try V. Oh.
I'm quickly dying.
Oh, I got it. I don't know. The word is in Cockney, but it says revelation, which is pretty common.
Okay.
Now, let me try a new game here. Click here to start new game. So if I get it, uh-oh. I clicked to start a new game and it kept all the letter selections. Didn't do that for you.
Didn't do that for me. I changed the category though.
Yeah, when I clicked, I finished the game and then it picked up another big button to the left rather than on the top right.
Right.
If you just click a bunch of different letters, even if you get them all wrong, right? Yeah, pick obscure ones so they're not going to be in that puzzle. Seems to be running a lot faster for me.
It's working there okay for me. I mean, I'm dying, but
try again here. Yeah, it kept all my letter selections oddly. The drawings are good.
Drawings hilarious.
That's fantastic. I wonder if he just drew all this himself and pieced it together. That's pretty slick.
I do love the kind of look and feel. It looks like it's been drawn with a biro, right?
Oh, maybe you have to get it right too. And you can keep playing even if you die.
His body's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I think the only thing I would say is, if to go back and check it and see, because I somehow got it to where it started a new game, but the letters that I had selected in the previous game were applied. So
yeah. So you can link to the complete dictionary of Cockney rhyming slang.
That's awesome. What's rods and cones? I can't click that. How did you? Oh, in the about.
Yeah.
I love the text and the handwritten little things on the bottom. Looks like pencil. The drawing's brilliant.
Yeah,
so.
I love it. It's
fun.
All right. Next one is by Wendy. This one's awesome.
She's like the best in the world. I swear, she's so awesome.
I absolutely love this. Like, I did very badly at it.
Oh gosh, I have literally
it's even worse than the flags. So island shape quiz.
So data sources: Google Map, Wikipedia. Oh, okay, I understand. She used Mapbox to bring in this little background. So I'm supposed to know. Okay, so I'm guessing.
So she gives you the language, the population, the potential location.
French. Do we have the same one?
We did. I don't know if I got it right though. So.
French.
English.
Well, it would be naturally. So I click that and then I hit next, I assume. Sorry if you hear a little background noise.
Oh,
My
it's
kids just walked in the door. All right, I'm giving up. I'm letting you finish yours.
Not letting me fail.
Yeah.
I haven't won any games today yet. So.
Oh my gosh, this is impossible. It's a really awesome design, so I should say that first. Easy to use. See result.
Yep. Let's wait and see. Come on.
I like her map box, the backgrounds, and that she's built a map box as well.
The map here looks really slick.
It's really pretty. It's not
Where's
surprising
where's my result?
Uh-oh. You
I
got two right.
Two correct. Yay.
And she's congratulating you, so she's being nice.
She is being nice. Keep up the good
fun.
work. Yeah. Not do better next time.
Yep. Not much I could say about this.
I appreciate the restart button because
yep.
It's nice.
The maps are really nice. Yeah. What
really innovative design. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. The last one is by Yash. And this is rock, paper, scissors.
But it's
the
rock,
special
paper, scissors,
lizard Spock game.
I was reading this. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's total Big Bang Theory.
It is.
Humor.
I was playing with this when he first published it. There's just so many options. Well, I mean, there's obviously more options than when.
We should read what it says. Sheldon Lee Cooper explains. Scissor cuts paper. Paper covers rock. Rock crushes lizard. Lizard poisons Spock. Spock smashes scissors. Scissors decapitates lizard. Lizard eats paper. Paper discovers or disproves Spock. Spock vaporizes rock, and it always has rock crushes scissors. And as it always has. Yeah, I think I can see Sheldon saying that as if like, well, duh, it's so simple. Yeah. And so, I really don't know what I'm doing other than randomly picking, but it's
fun.
I'm assuming he's just got, well, that's a good question. Like, how's he picking Sheldon's choices? And the problem is there's no real way in Tableau to really, truly randomize it. So he must have something. Well, Sheldon hasn't changed.
Yeah, so first one was a draw.
Oh, okay. I got Sheldon's same response like 6 times in a row. But...
Mine seems to be stuck on scissor for Sheldon.
Yeah, it did that for me too. But the first time I played this, I thought I remember it changing every time. But it seems I'm the same way. It went to, it was like paper at first, and then it went to scissors, and it's been kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
So if I had a clue, it beats, I guess, rock beats scissors. I'm going to just keep picking rock. And that's the other thing. You can't pick the same thing twice in a row with how this is laid out.
Right,
so
okay.
That would be one thing that I'd probably change.
Nice design. Like he said, he's kept it to a few colors.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I think it's funny. I would probably improve the way Sheldon's.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on scissors, so yeah.
Yeah, there's something there. I would think through how you make the selections. With a drop down, you can't pick that rock twice, so you may need to use buttons. Sometimes you need to.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe there's little buttons so you can actually see what some of these things look like. Like the lizard is really fun. It'd be, but
yeah.
Before I saw this, I didn't know what the lizard was going to look like. So yeah.
But it's fun. Neat idea.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So that's the last viz. So thank you so much, Kevin, for joining me today. Super fun to go through all those.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
A little different than normal, but I thought it was fun.
I mean, the creativity on each of those visits was
no doubt
crazy. Hopefully the feedback's helpful for everybody. And we look forward to you entering next time. Yes, so thank you, Kevin. Again, really appreciate you joining me today. Once again, thank you for joining us today. I really hope you found the feedback useful. Even if you didn't enter a visualization this time, that's okay, but hopefully you learned something from the visualizations and the feedback that we provided. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so. I'm at Twitter at Sarah Loves Data, and you can follow Kevin at Flerlage Kev. And also, please subscribe to my channel. This is where I'm going to be posting all the feedback videos going forward. So if you want to watch back to any that have been recorded previously, they're all there. And just if you subscribe, you'll be notified of the latest videos as well. And don't forget to check out my blog, sarahlovesdata.co.uk, where you can find the full recap post for each Iron Quest round. We look forward to you joining us next time. Thanks again. Goodbye.